Hi there, beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing some of the challenges that I experienced when I migrated to Australia. One of my favorite quotes is one written by Chris Jamie, and he says that to share your weakness is to make yourself vulnerable, and to make yourself vulnerable is to show your strength. So I remember when I migrated to Australia about 6 years ago, I found myself living in a 6-bedroom house. It was a shared accommodation, but for some reason the landlady could not find other people to live in the house. So I was all by myself, and for a good 2 months I did not speak to anybody. All I did was go to school, come back in an empty house, and boy was it lonely. It was so difficult for me because for a person who thrives the most joy by interacting with people, laughing, talking, and just sharing my experience with people is always my greatest joy. It took me quite a minute to actually make friends, and this is probably because I was also just getting the whole hang of being in a new environment. The second challenge that I experienced was self-doubt and the loss of confidence. I found everybody was very different from me. Their hair was different, the way they spoke was different, how they looked was of course as well very different, and I found myself thinking that I was not good enough, that I could not communicate well enough. I doubted my whole being, and it was so challenging. The third challenge that I experienced was depression and anxiety. So being in a very new country, away from family and friends, and remember when I migrated to Australia I was about 23 years old, so I'd already developed relationships back home with my friends, and finding yourself in a totally new environment whereby you didn't know anybody, and it was very difficult for me to make friends. My whole personality and being had changed because I'm a bit of an extrovert, but I'd found myself not talking, not saying a word. If my classmates dared to speak to me, it was followed by a yes or a no or I don't know. So I just found myself resisting to interact or to actually get known. I barely spoke about myself. So this caused me a lot of depression because I found it hard to wake up. I just didn't look forward to the day, and also I found myself gravitating towards food that was not very healthy for me. So I was eating junk. I barely maybe cooked, it was so difficult, but I did find solace in talking to some of the professionals, seeking help from the school psychologist, and just opening up a little bit more, and she did help me come into terms into my new environment and slowly get out of my small cocoon. The fourth challenge that I experienced was my health. My health literally took a 180. For somebody who never went to hospital while they were back home, I could go for years without ever stepping into a hospital. But when I migrated to Australia, 1 month in, I started experiencing a lot of chronic pain in my stomach, in my head. I had migraines for days, but I truly did not understand what was the reason. Probably with all the stress that was going on, my body was not also taking it very well. So it was quite difficult. I remember at one point I tried to I thought that I had allergies to certain foods. So I tried to stay out of gluten. I thought I was gluten intolerant for a good 3 months, but that did not help either. So I took off dairy as well from my diet, and that did not help. So with constantly going to a hospital, taking a few tests here and there, they later on realized that I was quite deficient in iron, that I had to get an iron infusion, as well as I was suffering from lack of vitamin D. And these are so important to the body because the lack of iron will always cause you to feel a little bit sluggish. So in hindsight, if you migrate, I would have taken supplements to boost the nutrients, because the difference in diet and the difference in food will make the body react differently, and just the whole change can also make it a little difficult for your body to absorb the nutrients. So if you're migrating to a new country, if you're feeling a little bit different or under the weather, sometimes supplements can come a long way to help you, like a multivitamin can come a long way to help you boost your energy levels. And the fifth or fourth challenge, I'm not sure, that I experienced was with my work and finding a job. So when I was working back at home, I was working in a managerial position. I'd worked very, very hard throughout my career to, of course, come to the managerial level. But however, when I quit my job and migrated to Australia, my first job was working as a cleaner in an aged care facility, which was such a big shift from what I did previously at home. From being in a key decision-making role to cleaning, it was so difficult. I came back home every day and cried quite a lot. I struggled with this, and probably because I didn't have anyone to talk to. Of course, my parents' support helped me because I constantly called home when I could or when I felt better to actually speak about it. But the change of career, and this a lot of people who migrate to Australia experience, especially as students, because you're restricted. So you're only allowed to work for 20 hours in a week. And also most of the employers in Australia value Australian experience. So if you don't have those two things, unlimited working hours and Australian experience, it can be very difficult to navigate the employability scenario and find a job of your own profession. The other thing, of course, that I struggled with was study-work balance. I was either in school or at work, and it was so difficult. So later on, of course, I did manage to make sure that every week I found at least 1 or 2 days of rest. Despite, of course, life being very expensive, I found out that if you don't give your body rest when it's asking for rest, then it will take the rest by force. It will force you to actually take the much needed rest. So now I have, of course, overcome most of these challenges. I've regained my confidence, and I'm going to share how I built my confidence in the next video. So please stay tuned. And for those who are going through any of these challenges or whatever country you might be in, reminding myself the why always helped me. So why did I come to Australia? It was to pursue further studies and gain relevant experience, and that helped me push through my journey. So thank you so much for watching. If this was an interesting video to you, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys on my next one. Thank you. Bye.